Rangers Journal Night.
Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Rangers Journal on this Thursday, the 7th of November. We're here to talk you through Rangers' 1-1 draw with Olympiacos out in Athens. I'm joined by two very prestigious members of the Rangers Journal group. We've got Cammy. How are you, bud?
I'm good. Very, very pleased with our night's work. Although, as I said before we went live, a tinge of disappointment that we didn't manage to get the 3, but a result that we would all have taken when the match kicked off. So I am more than happy.
Yeah, fair assessment. And also we're joined by my my better-looking namesake, Ross. How are you, mate?
I wouldn't go that far. I wish I had your haircut, Roscoe, to be brutally honest with you. I'm jealous. Yeah, I agree with Cammy. A surprising night. I think you could be pessimistic. It's maybe bittersweet. You know, I think we played really well and we deserved more from the game against a team that, you know, are got a notoriously good home record.
Yeah. A team that's got a lot of money, good backing, good, you know, other teams within that sort of structure. So, look, but before we go into kind of the starting lineups and stuff, I wanted to just get kind of your overall thoughts. You've both said that you're reasonably chuffed, but slightly bittersweet. Cammy, we had a lot of chances. I've been looking at these stats here, and I think we had 6 shots on target, 5 off target. Slightly annoying.
Without a doubt, it's an age-old problem. You know, be clinical when opportunities come along. I mean, I would never have believed pre-match that we would have created as many opportunities. So yeah, you could say a tinge, as I said, tinge of disappointment, but it's a good point. It's a good point, and let's you know. We'll dig into it, but I thought overall it was a decent performance, which I think is as important for me as the point that we picked up.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Ross, we went into the game, I guess, hopeful, maybe not optimistic, but hopeful that we could get something out there and you know, pick up a point on the road is always good in Europe. Would you have taken a draw before the game?
I think we all would have. I think when the fixture list came out, we were looking at having to go to Athens and going, it's a difficult place. We all know that. You know, we don't have a particularly good record against Greek teams. I think, I'm sure it was McCoy said in commentary, we've only scored 2 goals.
Yeah.
Away from home against Greece. So, you know, obviously it's a good point we would have taken right at the very start of when all the fixtures came out. And then obviously it's one of those things that at the end of it, it's a point closer to qualification, which I think we've really set ourselves up well for.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think the magic number's 9, isn't it? So even a couple of draws, you pick up another couple of draws in this, and there's definitely winnable games in there, and you're kind of there in that next round. Right, let's run through, Cammy, the starting lineup. So we all saw the big call that he made. I think they said at halftime that it was 36 games in a row in Europe that Tavernier has started for Rangers. We saw Dujon Sterling come in at right back. What was your take on that? Tactical or what?
I think the manager, I think he spoke about, I think it being an opportunity for Dujon Sterling to be, I think, a bit more solid. I think what they had in the wide areas could have caused us problems. Tavernier has always had these issues defensively. I'm pleased that he made the decision, to be honest with you. You know, I thought Dujon done well when he came on Sunday, solidified it. So I think it's dropped, rested, rotated, whatever you want to call it. I do expect Tav to start on Sunday, but that's for another podcast. I thought for tonight it was 100% either Sterling or Big Casa at right back would have been what I would have went for. So I'm pleased that the manager listened to my messages.
Ross, the sort of the rest of the back four was fairly predictable. Suter, Proper, and Jeff Day. What was your take on that? I guess the only one maybe Proper coming back into the starting lineup.
Yeah, I think we're maybe in an opinion that Robin Proper's maybe suited more to European football. We know he doesn't deal well with the physical battle. I know Olympiacos did have a kind of bit of a lump up front with a bit of technical ability, but you know, I think he played all right. So I thought Suter was, you know, the kind of pick of the back four. Jeffy, he's kind of picking himself at the moment. I know he's not been in the greatest of form, but he's got a willing partner on the left-hand side of the midfield, which obviously we'll get into. But I think we were all kind of surprised that Tavernier had been dropped. You know, not that we all want him to, but even then when it happens, we're still kind of like, really? It's almost like kind of, you know, kind of Christmas come early for some people that kind of detract him. I agree with Cam, you know, I think it was a kind of 50-50 between Stelling or Casemiro just for that defensive solidity. I thought Stelling was really, really good. You know, he does come off, and Casemiro, you know, had spells of playing well. You know, I think he's he picks a team well, and you've got to give Clement credit when credit's due. He does get the right team.
I think tonight, I think he did for sure. Midfield lined up with Raskin and Barron. We'll come on to those two later on because I think they're definitely noteworthy from tonight's performance. Diamande in that 10, although probably slightly more of a reserved 10 tonight and slightly more restrained in the way he was getting forward. Bayrami out left, Cherney up top, and Cherney on the right, and Dessers up top. Not many surprises in there with Tom Lawrence's the news of Tom Lawrence's injury. Let's sort of pick apart the first half then, Cammy. There were spells when I thought we started really well. Got the ball forward lovely. A couple of times Sterling laid the ball over the top to Dessers, through on goal. Unfortunately, the big man did what he seemingly does best and couldn't finish his dinner. What was your take on the first half overall?
I think Dessers, if he'd stuck it away, I think it would have been just offside. But I think I'll give him the benefit of the doubt that he knew he was offside, and that's why he wasn't as clinical in his finishing. But I thought in these games away from home against any opposition, it's almost like get to 10 minutes, get to 15, get to 20, get yourself. You're expecting them to come out. I expected a faster tempo. I was amazed that we actually were getting in so easily. I think Cherney was looking dangerous. Dessers had, I think, a more clinical, and I know the big man gets a goal, but I think a more clinical striker would have bagged a couple of goals tonight, to be perfectly honest with you. But I thought we started really, really well, and we got ourselves well into the game, which is all I was really hoping for, was to be competitive and to participate in the game and not just be hanging on for grim death. I thought we used the ball well, apart from one or two sort of slack passes.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that first half, there probably was a bit of nervousness you could detect, and look, that's going to happen based on the run that we've had recently. A few slack passes, a few, just maybe holding on to the ball that 2-3 seconds too long. But I think as that half grew on, players started to take a bit of confidence from the fact that they weren't getting in behind. Ross, what was your take on that first half performance?
I think we were actually a little bit surprised that Olympiacos weren't. I don't think they were at the level we were all expecting them to be at for a team that's so dominant domestically. I think that, you know, they do. I think they kind of wanted everything to come down the left-hand side. The boy Gelson Martinez, he seems to be their kind of star man. And, they were trying to do that. But I think Stelling marshalled him really, really well. The midfield pair of Barron and Raskin, I thought, were superb. Barron was absolutely everywhere, even in the first half. Raskin, I think, he was good, but sometimes his discipline, I think, can let him down at times. You know, he does give away stupid fouls. As the game got on, we'll get into the second half, he does improve. They were talking about, lumping up balls to the big man. You know, he's going to get 2 or 3 good flick-ons out of the multiple we do. We know it's not his game. He does have the chance, as Cammy said, he is offside, given the benefit of doubt. He does have another chance. Great play for Cherney. Had another outstanding game. I thought he was really, really good, as was Bayrami. I think Bayrami had to do a little bit more defensively to support Jeffy, but I thought the two of them really, really made us tick, drove us up the park, and obviously, like I say, it's a good save for the goalie, the cut back from Dessers. So you've got to give him credit that we've got guys there to take chances, because how long have we been complaining about people not being there to take chances? So you need to give credit where it's due when we're doing things that we complain we don't do often enough.
Yeah, completely agree, and I'd echo from your statement on Cherney. He created that chance out of nothing, really. And look, it was a tough one for Des to take. I think the first one that he gets, he probably just has too long, or he just goes into that Des's mode, unfortunately, and just maybe he was just passing it back to the keeper because he knew he was offside. Let's just give him the benefit of the doubt. Cammy, one of my observations was in that first half we looked super compact off the ball. I thought we were really nice and narrow and tight. And some of the big flaws that we've seen in Rangers in recent months has been giving possession away in midfield and big gaps. It looked as though we plugged those really nicely.
I think I said earlier, I think the performance in and out of possession is as important for me. It's the getting cut open far too easily, like you say, has been a huge frustration of mine when you go across to play Celtic and what have you. And I thought Diomande, whilst playing more advanced, was much closer to Barron and Raskin, and I think that helps. We just looked more structured, and it gives me a bit of positivity moving forward. That when you go to Old Trafford, I know it feels like a lifetime away, the middle of January, but you've got a sort of a way of playing. And I think one of my biggest criticisms of the manager has been embedded to a tactical plan, and this is the way I'm going to play. I think tonight showed that a bit more pragmatism and a bit more adaptability to different opposition, particularly away from home. So, yeah, that's a point is a great outcome for tonight. But the manner that we went about it, we used the ball pretty well, apart from just getting a bit of a brain fart on occasion or just panicking. But I thought we were really, really good for long spells tonight out of possession.
Yeah, completely agree with that. Really, really impressive and kept our shape really well. Kept that shape really well. So Clement will be happy about that. Ross, what is it about the way we're setting up in Europe that's getting us these results versus the form that we're seeing in the league?
I think it's just teams been a little bit more open. We can be quite quite an easy team to play against. I think we're quite predictable. Like, as we've mentioned already, the manager did change how we were going to play, and I don't think that Olympiacos expected it either. I think that they were probably expecting us to play the same formation that we've complained that we were playing were too predictable. Like I say, Diomande did drop deeper to just offer legs in the midfield. Barron and Raskin covered every blade of grass. And, it's one of those things that in Europe, I think we just seem to have the belief that, we can go toe-to-toe with anybody, and that's been around for years. We've beaten some of the best teams in Europe. We talk about Borussia Dortmund. We have beaten teams that are far, far better than us, that have far more money, far more technical and tactical players than us. But we just have a belief that when we play against these teams, that we can get something, even at the end. We're bad domestically, and we talk about how bad we've been. We go to Parkhead and we lose a goal, and then we lose a goal right away. There was none of that tonight. After we scored, we just seemed to be able to reset, keep playing our game, and we know that we'll get another chance. And it's the Jekyll and Hyde of Rangers. And it's a bit of a thing that we all like to laugh about, but Europa League Thursdays are a thing. It really is a thing. And I know, we made Ibrox a thing for a long, long time, but we've proven that we can go to places that are difficult and still get results as well. So it's just, we talk about things that are ingrained in the club that maybe aren't as great at the moment, but that's one thing that is ingrained in us at the moment, that when it comes to this level, we are far better than a lot of the teams in it, and the proof is in the table. We're halfway through these 8 games. I'm sure, is it 8, 4 or 5 games we're through now? Yeah, we're through them, and we're sitting in the kind of top bit of it. A win tonight, I think, puts us into the kind of automatic qualification spot. Most of the teams we're going to play after this, we're sitting ahead of, so we deserve to be in this spot.
Yeah, completely agree. I think it's definitely a different Rangers on these Thursday nights, shall we say. Cammy, the second half opened up, and look, I thought we actually started the half really well. I thought we were really positive on the front foot again. But unfortunately, and you could say criminally, allowed the ball to bounce in the box, which you should never allow it to do as a defender. And El Kabi with a fantastic finish. It must be said. What were your thoughts at that point?
I can't actually broadcast my thoughts, to be honest, but I thought it was just frustration. You know, it's classic Rangers that you've been competitive for the first sort of 50 minutes, and then you lose a pretty cheap goal. As much as it's a lovely finish, Suter just gets caught a wee bit too deep. But it's understandable, I suppose, the way that he's defended. But the boys know had a real opportunity, and he's stuck it away. And then you're just, how do we react? And I think that again, that's another positive for me tonight. We went behind on Sunday, we went behind tonight, and we've showed a wee bit of character to get back on terms relatively quickly. So yeah, it was just disappointing, and you're thinking, oh God, 1-0, they're going to go and finish this tie off and make it 2. But fortunately, that never happened, and we managed to get back on terms relatively quickly.
Yeah, exactly that. 8 minutes later, Cherney knocks the ball through Dessers. I don't think the defender had been watching Dessers, because we could see that chop a mile off. And he falls for it, hook, line and sinker, Ross. What was your thoughts on it? A really, really composed and clinical finish.
It's one of those finishes that he does, and he makes it look so simple. He really, really makes those things look like he's like there's nobody even there. It's amazing the dichotomy of him. And you talk about the one in the first half, we know he's offside, but he's got all the time in the world, and he just makes a meal of it. But that one, it's superb. You know, it's a wonderful ball. As I said, for Cherney, smart. It was early. It was intelligent. It was guys knowing what they're going to do and executing it to a T. I think at the time, just to hark back to the goal, the Olympiacos goal, I think they needed that, because the crowd were really starting to go into them, and I think that's something that can't be understated. You know, we talk about how the Ibrox crowd can be difficult for us. They were really, really at that moment getting on their case. You know, there was a lot of boos at half time, and I think they needed that goal. But what we done was we didn't let that atmosphere get to us, and we used that to the advantage. They maybe thought, right, okay, we're going to go on and win this, whereas we kind of started to play again and reset ourselves, like I said, put our foot in the ball, and we created a goal that we absolutely more than deserved. And it was one that, it wasn't a scrappy goal, it was a great goal. It was a one you'd want to watch over and over. And like I say, we deserved it. We really, really did deserve it. And Cyril Dessers, you know, God, I think we could have weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks of content talking about him. But it's one of those things, like I say, it's the hit and miss of him. Is he can be brilliant one minute and hopeless the next. And at that moment when we needed him, he was brilliant.
Yeah, I'd agree. And I think overall his performance was reasonably good. You know, he did miss a few chances. I remember there was one through at the end when he kind of got barged off, maybe tired legs. But I thought his hold-up play was a bit better tonight. He linked pretty well. I don't know about you guys, but I was off my seat when that goal went in. I got a text from my neighbour who's not a football fan, just saying "get in." So he's obviously heard me screaming through the wall. Cammy, we get back into the game 1-1. A few half chances after that, but I thought we looked fairly comfortable.
Yeah, you're still looking comfortable, but I think Super Ali said it in the commentary at 92 minutes. I want to see 94 minutes sort of situation. You just know how it can change. It was almost like both sides appeared relatively happy with a point. You know, it's not a bad result for both teams. I think that's us both level pegging on 7 points. But just to go back to the goal, that's another assist for Cherney, just off the back of creating the assist for Bayrami on Sunday. We're going to speak about star performers tonight, but I think Cherney, if you rewind back to missed chances in Malmo and at home to Lyon, he's shown great character. To basically, he's an experienced player, but I think across the last 4 or 5 weeks, he's coming up with moments and he's coming up with goals and assists and what have you. So he won't get the headlines because others were probably better. But I think I want to give a shout out to Czerny for his performance, not just tonight, but across the last few weeks.
Yeah, I think that's a really good call out. Let's just play that out a bit, Ross. Then, so Czerny, when he gets the ball, he always looks creative. I think that's fair to say. He sometimes is a bit slack with his passing. Probably not a huge physical presence when it comes to supporting at that right back position or supporting defensively. But he certainly looks like he's got something, and he can pick a pass. I think there was a couple of times when he dinked a little ball over. I think Bayrami made sort of a diagonal run. Barron did as well. What do you think he brings to this team?
He's clearly a really intelligent footballer. I don't think you play at the level you do without having that. He's clearly very technical as well. We know we spoke about, is he right? Does he get the physical attributes? But I think there's one in the second half where Cassian Weasel takes a run inside and he just plays a wonderful pass in between 3 guys. And it's a pass we don't make enough.
Yeah.
I think he takes it really, really well. I know we're unlucky. He's unlucky with it. I think Cassian Weasel's unlucky with cross, but when you get guys in the team that can do that, the more you can get legs and runners around him, then you can only benefit from it. He's clearly gained confidence. He's come out and was open and honest about his miss against Lyon. I know he took a bit of stick. He deleted his social media. It's maybe unfair in him, but he's answered critics. A lot. How long have we spoke about players not taking criticism on board? And some criticism's unjust, some of it's not. But he's clearly thought, I made a bit of a mess against Lyon and need to try and get better. And since then, he's probably been the best player on the team since that moment. So I think all we need to do now is we need to tell every player to delete their social media, and we'll turn into Barcelona 2010.
If only it was that simple. But look, coming to the bubble in Glasgow is a tough and steep learning curve, no matter where you've been. It's unlike anything else, and the scrutiny and the difficulty that you'll face with a drop in form is unlike anywhere else. But he's gotten through it, and I think that's a really fair statement. He definitely is a spark in that team, and you saw his creative flair in the first half, and I'm really excited to see what he can do between now and the rest of the season. Cammy, you touched on star performer before there. I'd like to hear from you who you thought your man of the match was.
Conor Barron for me, I thought was outstanding. I think he's been very good since signing. Has exceeded all my expectations. He looks like a player that's been at Rangers far longer than he has been. Is playing in a slightly more advanced role than he has been. There's at times he's next to Raskin, but he was also getting advanced into areas. And that he had an opportunity. I just wanted him to put his laces through it. I think with maybe about 5 minutes to go, I'm desperate to see him get his first goal. But I've christened him the Duracell Bunny. I just think he's constant harrying, pressing. I made a comparison, and it's not. He's got a bit of Stuart McCall about him. Stuart McCall played in a Rangers team with Gascoigne and Laudrup and players like that. So in every successful team, you need your sort of water carriers and your people that put out the fires and show the energy and set the tempo. And Conor Barron, for me, excellent tonight. I thought Raskin had a decent game, as much as there's times where he does frustrate me. I think Ross said he's disciplined and he maybe gives a daft possession away. But Conor Barron for me was undoubtedly the best player in their team, and he's delighted that he made it into the Scotland squad first time asking, because I think his performances have more than merited that, and it's just get better players. These young legs and the energy that they bring, it does, as much as there's a lot of negativity around the club, guys like Conor Barron and Jeffrey and Raskin and Sterling and Casa, all these boys are young players with hopefully their best years ahead of them playing for us. So I've rambled a bit there, but I think Conor Barron, excellent, top man.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to argue with that, Cammy. I think that the way that I can't help feel it when I watch him is that's what I would want to do if I was playing for Rangers. That's the way I would want to play. That's the heart that you want to see your team have on the pitch. Yeah, tremendous tonight. I thought it was just all over the place. And look, we hold on to that guy for years to come. We can build a team around him. That is someone you build a team around. Ross, who was your star man this evening?
It's hard to disagree with Barron. I thought he was absolutely outstanding. He really, really was. I think, like we say, I thought Raskin had spells in the game where he really, his interception, he was like a bit of a bulldog. You know, he did really, really put himself about, but, you know, he's fouling at bad times. I think to be fair, how he lasted 92 minutes without a booting, I thought was just baffling, to be honest with you. You know, I think I don't know if he'd brought Graham Shinney's topped in with him, because the amount of times he gets away without a booking, I think is, or maybe asked him for advice how to get away with it. But it was Conor Barron, without an absolute shadow of a doubt. He's found the consistency, I think, that we were looking for at the start. He had spells when he first joined. You know, I remember the first game against Hearts where he was a standout player, but he was a standout player because we were poor. He's the standout player now. Even when we're playing well, he's still one of the guys in the team you can't afford to drop. He's got everything that you want that kind of guy to play. He can screen, he can tackle, his interception is good. We know he's still got to learn a lot. He's only 21, but you know, if that's how he's going to be at this age, seeing 4 or 5 years time, he could be an absolute superstar, an absolute gem for us. And the kind of midfielder that, you know, Cammy says, Stuart McCall played in a team with Loudrup and Gascoigne, and we still talk about how good he was. Barron could be the same. If he's got better guys running about him, you can still be talking about him. If you can get another midfielder in there that's just get that something special, you could have a midfield three there that we've been screaming for years.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Conor Barron. I know I've ranted on a bit like Cammy, but it's Conor Barron without a shadow of a doubt. He was the best player. I thought he was the best player on the park, head and shoulders.
Yeah, he was tremendous. I echo what you're saying. I do think for me it was a very close one between Raskin and Barron. I thought whilst Raskin was slightly petulant at times and you know that lack of discipline did shine through, I thought the journey that he's been on as a Rangers player, probably here by not necessity, but probably not through choice, shall we say? From Rangers, I think he was sort of booted out and spent a lot of time in the doldrums and probably wondered where his career was going. But to turn up and play like that, away from home against the Conference League champions, I thought it was tremendous, and he just broke the play up really well at times. Him and Barron were just fantastic in there. Exactly the sort of fighting spirit that you want to see. An interesting point here from Doug that I wanted to flash up there. Get a good striker in January, and then plus Bayrami and Cherney will do some more damage. It kind of felt like that tonight. Like if we'd have just had that dynamic striker, you know, even Danilo maybe making those dynamic runs. Cammy, what's your thoughts on that?
You've stole my thunder with regard to Danilo. That was what I was hoping for, that he, by the time we get to January, that Danilo has actually stayed fit and available, and he could be that dynamic finisher. I think with a bit more movement that he showed when he came on. I mean, I don't disagree with Doug that we do still need another striker, but that's for another podcast. But I think within the existing, I think Danilo is more than capable if he can retain fitness. There's still 2 or 3 positions I would still like, but I think Danilo's the one. I just want him to stay fit and available for us, Ross, because I think there's goals there. It's just he's had such a stop-start first 12, 13 months of a Rangers career. But a clinical striker can. I think Scotty was talking about that last night, that a clinical striker can mask deficiencies in a team, and vice versa sort of situation, you know. So I think Danilo could be that person. We could bring somebody in that's potentially available for free at the end of the season. You might manage to get them. That's why these European games are so important, because that's another couple of quid off UEFA for a point tonight. Whilst we're still operating on a limited budget, getting that extra money, getting into the knockout stages, all these things can only help to potentially strengthen come January. So we'll see what happens. But Danilo is the man that I want to see much more of in the weeks and months ahead.
Yeah, very good point. We're going to wrap up soon, lads. But Ross, I guess one question that will be on the lips of a lot of Rangers fans out there: how do we translate this spirit, fight that we saw today into the league and start churning out these results?
I think every pod I've been on, I keep saying the same thing. It all starts with attitude. If we can bring that kind of attitude and desire and energy and a willingness to drive forward, then we can beat any team in the league easily. We should be beating 90% of the teams in that league just by our application. We've started to see more of it. I think the application on Sunday in the second half really stood out as well. I think you need to get credit. The manager has been under a lot of pressure. Some of it's been very, very justified. But what he's done at the moment is he's had a couple of games, and it's only 2, where we've looked more like we've got guys that want to be there and want to win and want to apply themselves. It starts from the spine of the team. I think Butland's not been as much of an. I know we've had a couple. I know in the last few games that Butland's not been a problem. Suter's been decent. We still need to sort out the spine of the team, but we've got Raskin and Barron who've started to be something. I'm trying to think of be a nucleus to build around with guys who've got the same want to just improve the team and win for the team. I think for far too long, we've just never had a guy in that team that's, when things have been bad, have taken the game by the scruff of the neck and said, we're not losing this today, come hell or high water. When we don't play well at home to St Mirren, we're kind of like, oh, we'll just keep trying. We'll stick the ball out wide and lump it in and see what happens. That needs to stop. And if we keep playing the way we're playing, that we have the last game and a half, and it's only a game and a half, then we could be onto something. Once that happens, then I think the rest of it will fix itself. The tactics tonight were different. We weren't playing with a 10 that had to play as a 10 and was still sitting 25 yards away from Dessers, because that just wasn't working, regardless of anything, whether it was Diamande, whether it was Lawrence. We now say Lawrence is out for 6 weeks, so it's going to be somebody different. I think Bajrami is the guy that can be that proper 10. He's playing at a position out of necessity. If Oscar Cortez can come back and be the guy we think we're getting, then you've got a dynamic attacking trio behind the centre forward and Bajrami, Cherny and Cortez support a striker to then back up. If you've got somebody that's got the movement like Danilo, then you've got Raskin, Barron there. There's a midfield and an attack that you can work with that's got the attitude and the application. You then can fix the tactics to suit that. And then from there it will build up, and confidence breeds confidence. And if we can keep going the way we're going, things can get better. Will they? We don't know. It's all how many false dawns have we had. If we can, do it right. And I know that sounds really, really silly, but if we can, we're not difficult. We're not a difficult league to win games in. I know we've struggled against Celtic, and that's fine. But we should be beating every other team by just application alone. And we've not had enough of that, I think.
Yeah. When you start naming that middle to front there, you can't help but feel a bit excited about it. So look, I mean, Rangers, why do you do this to us? With one hand you take, and with one hand you give. But that's the way the way it rolls. Look, Cammy, Ross, thanks so much for joining us this evening and hearing your thoughts. Those at home, it'd be good to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And if you haven't already, please do like and subscribe. Another very good performance from Rangers in Europe, a particularly valuable point away from home in Athens. Let's see how this can be replicated in the league, hopefully, with some big games coming up. Thank you, everyone, for watching the Rangers Journal. Good night.